So I think we're about ready to get started here. Oops, I don't want to share. I want to slideshow this. All right. So I think maybe what we'll do, Brahim, before getting into the intros is I'll just start off some of these slides just to give everyone kind of a brief overview of who we are and why we're here. And then we'll do a fun little round of intros so that everyone knows who everyone is. So welcome everyone to this series of sessions on drones and drone data for urban ecology, urban forestry, and conservation. Specifically, we're going to be working on a custom vision project for counting and classifying trees using drone imagery. So it's super exciting to have you all here. It's great to see so many people interested in this space. And what we're aiming to do with this series of sessions is to give you an introduction to the idea of using drones in urban ecology and conservation, what drone data might look like, and then what potential machine learning applications are when it comes to drone data, particularly in the context of trees. So before we really start off this session, we won't do this at every session, but I think it's important to do this now. I'm located in Vancouver right now, and Brahim, you kind of are too. You count Richmond as Vancouver. So I would like to acknowledge that we live and we work and we play on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam people. I encourage you, wherever you are in the world, to think about where you are in terms of its colonial history, its Indigenous history. And it's particularly important, in my opinion, especially as we talk about urban nature and nature conservation, to think about the historical legacies of the places in which we work and we live, and how we might integrate that in some of the work that we do. So please take a moment, because it's something that is quite important to do, particularly as we engage in this type of work. So in terms of who you'll be working with over the next few sessions, there's myself. So my name is Sophie. I'm a PhD candidate in urban forestry at the University of British Columbia. I'm particularly interested in urban conservation, smart cities, urban technology, and a lot of my thesis focuses on technology applications and urban forest management. And I'm the one who got to fly the drone and collect all this cool data. And so I'm happy to talk a little bit more about that whole process. And if anyone is really interested in getting a drone license and learning to fly drones, I'm happy to talk about that more with you. Brahim, would you like to introduce yourself really quickly?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Brahim. I'm a postdoc at UBC. Here it says forestry and engineering science. I'm involved in like 4 different departments, way too much work. My work is related to including trying to integrate machine learning into all kinds of systems. In forestry, we're trying to, particularly create, as mentioned in Lorian's snippet there, which is we're trying to use machine learning to in order to create more equitable urban environments, and that would in a lot of different ways. Particularly, as you'll see throughout these work sessions, we're going to integrate machine learning into trying to make it, trying to classify trees, trying to count trees, but that we'll go into the high level reasons why we'd want to do that. I'll just leave it at there. I think Isabel is not here today.
She's not joining today, but she's our research assistant who's also flying drones this summer. And so she might pop in here and there, particularly to see how progress is going. So as Brahim mentioned, we work under this kind of envelope at the University of British Columbia related to, environmental justice, resilient and equitable cities, and also kind of smart cities and how technology fits into all of that. And so we're super excited to be here and kind of align some of our work with this really cool opportunity to, teach you, also learn from you, and really work together to solve this really cool problem. So Brahim, I think I'll let you take this slide and then just let me know if you want me to switch to the next one.
For sure, yeah. So I think it may be a good idea to go over to provide a high-level understanding of what this project is, what this project is not, what we're aiming to do out of this project. And we'll start with the milestones and project goals. So the idea is we're going to try to learn about drones, what they are, the type of data that they collect, and how we can use these images to try to understand urban environments, urban planning, etc. And we're going to try to use machine learning on that data in order to, as Sophie mentioned, to classify and count trees, but in a very specific way. So these are the high-level goals that we're aiming at of this project. And if we go to the next slide, so if we're able to, so those are the high-level goals that we're aiming out of this project for everyone to learn. But if we manage to do all of that successfully and we still have time at the end of the work sessions, we'll go into what we're calling a stretch goal, which is we can try to do a bit more. What I have in mind is to create a simple web app in order to run the machine learning model on the web app in addition to how we're going to solve it as we'll learn throughout the course. And we're going to try to answer questions like, is it possible to use more than one model on the same image, for example? Like on the same image, is it possible to count trees, but also count, for example, tennis courts, which would include different types of custom vision and stuff like that. And if we're able to do all of that and everyone's interested in writing some sort of a short article, so we can totally do that at the end of, but that all depends how we manage our time by the end of the work sessions. And if we go to the next slide, this is what we have in mind for the overall project timeline. We're going to take the first couple of weeks to kind of familiarize ourselves with the project, including high-level information, like high-level information that we provided in the landing page, including YouTube videos of what custom vision is, YouTube videos and tutorials about, for example, drones, how to start labeling data, how to start processing some of those images into a machine learning model and all of that, just to get everyone kind of on the same page. As we're learning together, this is pretty much like not everyone's on the same page. So we take these first couple of weeks to kind of get everyone on the same page. Then we start diving into the drone data, which includes, for example, the type of data that we collect, type of applications each sensor is used for, and all of that. Then we start diving into the machine learning aspect, how we, for example, label data, clean up the data, make sure that the data is ready enough to start using that data into a machine learning model. And then we're going to do a whole bunch of testing, optimization, validations, and all of that. And then in the last couple of weeks, we're going to check if how much time we have left. And we're going to start to analyze if the model is working as expected or not. And finally, if we have enough time, as we mentioned, we'll go into stretch goals. Next slide, please. Overall logistics, everything that we're going to cover, everything that we talk about. Of course, I'm getting a phone call right now. One sec. Okay. All right. So everything we talk about in this course is going to be provided on the landing page. We're going to include information about everything that we discuss, tutorials, YouTube tutorials, information about if you want to learn more about drones and stuff. We're going to include all of that into that one page, so that it's one-stop resource for everything about this kind of course. In terms of work session, work groups, we're going to have a dedicated Slack channel. Please click on the link, join that channel. There's more information about how you can specifically join it. If you can't, for whatever reason, join it, you can ask Amar to add you in manually. in terms of virtual environment, we understand that not everyone has a top-of-the-line computer. So we want to make it as accessible to everyone as possible. So we're encouraging people to use Google Colab, which is a free source from Google that allows people to use GPUs for free, kind of thing, without necessarily having a powerful computer, which is a really powerful tool. Yeah, and keep in mind that we're going to go later on, I think, in later sessions, but throughout this course, you're going to learn stuff, and we're encouraging people to take notes as much as possible and create some sort of a notebook in order to, we're hoping that whatever we learn out of this course will be provided to others. So we'll try to make everything open source. We'll try to use open source tools, and we'll try to make sure that everything out of this project, including the learning process, is available to everyone. So we'll try to encourage people to take notes on pretty much everything in a lot of different ways, including on Google Colab, which you can take notes on, and Aggregate Intellect. They have a platform that they've asked us to use, and you can also use that one. But the idea is to make sure that you take notes, and make sure that when you take notes, we want to make sure that everyone's kind of on the same page by creating a user-friendly recipe or a set of notes that people can refer back to if they want to take this course on their own, kind of thing. And the $2,500 gift card, I think it's $2,500. I'm not sure. If this changes later on, just go with the number that's provided later on. But it is $2,500. Thanks for confirming. It's some sort of an incentive from NRC to bring people together into these type of work sessions where, as you can tell, it's a lot of pieces that are kind of all over the place in research, and we're trying to make them to connect them somehow, and we're trying to do that for the first time, and with the goal of environmental sustainability and urban equity, and all these goals. So we're trying to learn all that stuff as we go, and there's no technology is advancing as a faster rate than classical research. So we're trying to find tools to make everything that we do in research as accessible as possible. And this is probably one of the ways that NRC is trying to see if there's going to be an impact that way. So we're trying to see if this is going to work or not, kind of thing. We're hoping it's going to work. We're hoping that everyone's going to learn really cool tools that they can use, whether in research, whether in just for fun, or for potentially learn more, as you can probably get more skills in that can be transferable into the job market, industry, etc. I think I'm going to stop talking after this slide, but let's see. No, one final slide. Yeah, as I mentioned, take notes, take as many notes as possible, and these notes are called recipes, and we're going to learn more about that in later sessions. And we've put an example of a recipe for this project, and you can go click on that. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it on my end.
So maybe before I speak a little bit more about this problem and why it matters and to whom it matters, we can just do a quick little go round of introducing ourselves by nomination. And so the idea here is that I'm going to start, for example, even though I already introduced myself, I'll do it again. And then I'm going to nominate someone, preferably someone I don't know, which is pretty much everyone in this group, by name. And then they'll go ahead and introduce themselves briefly. And then they'll nominate someone else who hasn't introduced themselves yet, and so on. Hopefully that's clear. So again, my name is Sophie, a PhD candidate in urban forestry at UBC. I'm originally from Montreal, so if anyone speaks French here, bonjour. And I will nominate Nida to go ahead, and hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. Sorry about that.
Yes, this is Nida. Hello to everyone. My name is Nida, and this topic is very interesting for me because currently I'm working with a company. It's the main focus of my work is on drone, DJI drone, and I'm working on video stream part, get video, send video to cloud. Because of that, I'd like to know more about your, I don't know, it's a group or company. About my background, I have a master's degree in AI, but I don't have any experience to working on the artificial intelligence. Currently, I work as a software developer, especially Android environments. Good to see you all.
Thanks so much, Nida. And would you like to nominate someone else to introduce themselves?
Here I see Ali Zafar.
Hello everyone, my name is Ali. I am an international student from Pakistan in McMaster University. So I'm pursuing a Master's of Engineering and my main focus is AI. In the past, I had experience with different industry from traveling, social media and the health industry. So the reason that motivates me, that first thing I would like to get an experience in the AI, and the second one that this is a new field that I'm going to explore in terms of development. So it will be a good opportunity for me to work and learn with some wonderful people across Canada. I would like to nominate Jesse Passmore. Pardon me if I did not pronounce it correctly.
You nailed it. That's how you say my name. Hi guys. My name is Jesse Passmore. I'm a deep learning engineer. I work with AI, normally large language model NLP. This would be a brand new foray for me. Very much looking forward to it. And just working with you, fine lot. I nominate Flynn Davis.
Hello, I'm Finn. Common mistake. No worries. No L. I also am in Vancouver, North Vancouver, and I have an undergraduate degree in ecology. I'm really interested in also urban development, stuff like that. I just finished the working group of the land cover classification using NRCan. That just like wrapped up last week, submitted our models, and I really enjoyed having sort of like a project like this to work on that's just for fun and learning and has some guidance and some group to it. So yeah, I wanted to join this one, which timed very perfectly. How about Tevleen?
Hi everyone, my name is Tavleen. I am currently a data scientist at Crevasys. Previously, I am graduated with in master's degree with electrical and computer engineering at UBC Vancouver. So it will be a great opportunity for me to work on more challenging data science models. And yeah, Intellect Aggregate has given me a really great opportunity. So where I can do a lot of research work, find new techniques of building up the models, etc. So I would love to nominate Winston.
Hi everyone, my name is Winston. I work primarily with natural language processing problems in the bank, and I just want to get more practical hands-on experience working with like computer vision models. So really looking forward to working with you guys here. I'll nominate David L.
Hi, everyone. I have a master's in electrical engineering here in Northern Virginia. And I've done some ML in the past, but I want to pivot to more data science and ML stuff. So I thought this would be a fun project. And I also wanted to do something that's more socially and environmentally helpful. So it sounded pretty cool. I think that's it for me. How about Sergey?
Hey, I'm Sergey. I'm software developer from Russia, and I've been doing a lot of things related to drones because I was studying aviation. And actually, what clicked for me is that when you mentioned that you're working on drones and artificial intelligence, I have this little piece of hardware that is called NVIDIA Jetson, which can presumably run neural networks on the drone itself. So I didn't really have much time to experiment with integrating drones and artificial intelligence, but I guess I would try to experiment in running those kind of models on embedded hardware to see whether it would be able to run those models on the drone itself.
Just a quick answer on that. It's definitely possible. So we can go into that later on in the course, but yeah, definitely cool.
Okay.
Sergey, do you want to nominate?
I would nominate someone. I guess Jesse Passamore.
I think Jesse already went, but hold on. This is getting harder and harder because now you have to see people who haven't gone. I'm like going through my list here, and I feel weird being like spectator because I feel like that's not their name. But what about Sankalp?
Hey, my name is Sankalp. I'm a machine learning engineer down in Florida. I work with a startup called Fermata Energy as a in forecasting time series. I graduated last year with a PhD in astronomy, where I used ML quite significantly for my thesis work. And I'm excited to learn new skills, transfer the ones I have to this project. I forget one of the earlier speakers, I forget their name, but they said something they're excited about is the idea of using ML and I guess technology to solve an environmentally relevant problem, and that's what's interesting to me about this as well. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this project. To be honest, I was walking my dog when people were talking, and I'm not sure, and I'm on my phone, and I'm not sure who hasn't gone. So if someone
That's okay, I'll do it for you.
All right,
thank you so much, Sankalp. What about Joshua?
So hello, I'm Joshua. I'm a second year mechatronics student at the University of Waterloo. And what interests me about this project is the fact that it's environmentally friendly, and it's related to computer vision, which is applied in robotics, and I want to get my feet wet in that field.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joshua. And I think I have now a good tally of who's gone and who hasn't. I think we're missing a couple of people. What about Aisha?
Yeah, hi. This is Aisha. I'm a senior data scientist with a PhD in astronomy as well. I am interested in machine learning applications in the field of environment, I guess. And I have experience working with text data, time series data, but not much with images. So I'm looking forward to this project and to learning from everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Aisha. And what about Vrinda?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm a student at George Brown College doing applied AI solution development programs at postgraduate degree. And I'm looking to change career into data science. And computer vision seems to be very interesting. So I'm just trying to learn. I'm pretty new with all the concepts. So my intent of joining this project is to learn and get a hands-on experience.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, welcome. And I think that goes for everyone too. I think this is such a great opportunity to learn from each other and to touch base with people. It kind of sounds like all over the place, which is super awesome. So maybe, you know, there are future kind of collaboration opportunities that can be had here beyond even just this working group. So thank you so much, Rinda. It's awesome to have you. And it's so cool to hear where everyone else is around the world. Did I miss anyone? Did anyone not get nominated?
The name is a spectator. A spectator.
Yeah, spectator. Would you like to introduce yourself? Maybe, not sure. Which is okay if you don't. It's fine. You can spectate.
Thank you very much, Sophie. I'm just here to spectate.
Oh, it's you. Hello. It's nice to see you again. Hey, Amar. Well, Amar, do you want to introduce yourself really quickly or no?
Okay, I will go for it then. Hi, everyone. My name is Amar. I am called Spectator, but you can call me Amar. I am here. I am the community manager at Aggregate Intellect, and I'm just really excited to see what Ibrahim and Sophie are going to do with this group.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amar. Sorry to put you on the spot there. I think that's all of us. So again, welcome. It's so wonderful to have you all here. And I think that what's super exciting about many of you is that you're interested in this kind of like environmental and social kind of justice component of this work, which is something that Brahim and I are also really excited about. You know, there are a lot of challenges happening in the world right now that relate back to the environment and climate change. And we're super interested in figuring out ways in which technology and the environment can kind of come together and how we can use novel technology and kind of rapidly changing technologies to improve upon our environment, improve upon the places that we live, and, you know, these systems that we really rely on. So I'm just going to put on my urban forestry hat for a second here and just tell you very quickly why this matters and, you know, why we've come to do this project and kind of want to reach out to all of you to help us do it. And essentially it's because many of us live in cities, grew up in cities, and urban trees and forests are really vital to urban resilience and livability. They provide a huge number of benefits to every living being in cities. So not just people, but also, you know, animals, insects, other plants, etc. And just to kind of name a few off the top of my head, you know, they mitigate the impacts of climate change. They help with stormwater runoff. They provide shade and cooling on very hot days. Aesthetically, they provide a lot of value to the urban environment. And, you know, there's this hypothesis that humans have an innate affinity towards nature called the biophilic hypothesis. And urban forests and trees play a huge role in that because they act as gateways, basically, in helping us kind of experience the natural world in our backyard, basically, and, you know, in our daily life. And so it's critical to ensure that these ecosystems are healthy and resilient and well managed because it reflects our health and the health of our communities. And so given that in many cities, there are people called urban foresters and urban planners and parks planners and green space managers, all kind of under this umbrella, who want to better manage these systems. But what's really challenging is that, you know, they are kind of located everywhere around the city. So it can be quite a large space and a large area in which we need to kind of like manage and understand these systems through. We need a lot of data on them. So we need to understand, you know, what we have in terms of the urban forest, how healthy it is, and subsequently, you know, how we can manage it in a way that ensures resilience and sustainability in the long term. And so to do that, we need a lot of information. And how do we get information? Well, we need to collect data. And traditionally speaking, usually what urban foresters do is they literally just go out onto the street, park, whatever, and, you know, basically kind of like measure trees and write down what they are in terms of like species and stuff like that, figure out their health by doing some kind of visual assessment or risk assessment. And then they bring that all back and they kind of log it into some type of information database system. And of course, more recently, and as kind of technology has evolved, we can use different tools to do this as well. So we can use satellite imagery. A lot of satellite imagery is used to get out really broad data on urban forests. So like canopy cover, for example. So how much canopy covers a certain area, that's quite easy to do using satellite imagery. But the problem with some of these technologies like satellite imagery and perhaps LiDAR, if you've heard of it, is that they're not often at this like really fine scale resolution that can be really helpful for getting at, you know, more detailed data about trees. So you can't really use satellite imagery to, for example, identify a tree from the air, but that is what drones can do. So drones are this kind of like newer tool that's really emerging in the field of forestry and conservation, and especially urban conservation. It really hasn't been used that much in urban forestry. So this has been a bit of a gap, and we've kind of had to start from the ground up to figure out how we want to use these tools. They're often more affordable and actually kind of more flexible when it comes to collecting data in the urban environment. So just to give you an idea, like some cities spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on LiDAR data, which are kind of like low flying planes that shoot lasers down, and then they create these 3D point clouds or representations of the urban environment. And a drone can do something similar for like a fraction of that cost, particularly in a small area. So there's a lot of potential here to maybe kind of like bridge some gaps around data collection and, you know, finding ways to basically like give foresters and urban planners the tools that they need to really get a sense of what's going on in their city when it comes to what they have in the urban forest ecosystem, how healthy it is, and then how can they potentially manage it better. So like I mentioned, not a lot of work has been done on drones in urban forestry, so we're filling this really cool gap, which is potentially super exciting. And ultimately, what would be really cool is if we can come up with some models out of this project that can be used by urban foresters and green space managers who maybe have a drone on hand, or maybe, you know, have drone data on hand, and they can really just quickly get a snapshot of what they have without having to go out into the field and do these like really laborious and like time intensive activities to inventory an urban forest, for example. And just to give you a sense of how high resolution this data is compared to satellite imagery, usually like on 1 pixel on an image, it's about 30 meters by 30 meters. That's what you're seeing. And a drone image, it's 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters. So it's a huge difference, and it means that there's a lot of potential for using these kinds of images to get at fine scale information, fine scale data on trees, including counting trees and classifying trees. So in this session, I won't go too much exactly into what this classification involves, because that's going to take a whole bunch of time, and I want to make sure that we really understand what we're doing and, you know, what we're delving into. So this is just a brief overview, but I will give you a little sneak peek as to what these images actually look like. So these are all examples of images that were captured using the drone that, you know, we're going to be kind of understanding the images that it comes from. This is what it looks like, basically. And these are all taken in different parks across Metro Vancouver. And as you can see, it was taken in late summer, beginning of the fall. You can see some of the trees were already starting to turn, you know, in the fall, a lot of those nice deciduous trees turning super nice colors. And to give you a really sneak peek, because we will delve into this in the next session, we don't have time to do this now, this is the type of data that you can get from a drone. And so on the left is something that we call an orthomosaic. And that's basically kind of these individual images all stitched together to represent one particular site that we're interested in. In this context, we were interested in a park. So I flew that drone across the park in a grid, and it took tons of images and then stitched them all together. That's what it looks like. Again, I'll explain this in a lot more depth in the next session, but I just want to give you a sneak peek just to get you excited. And then in the middle here, this is what we have. This is what's called a digital surface model. And this is essentially a 3D representation, but put into 2D of what these images are. So it's just telling you, you can see with kind of the red and the orange and the green, how tall some of these trees are compared to others. And then on the right, the furthest right image, this is the 3D representation of these 2D images. And so what this means is that there's an algorithm in the processing software that puts together all the tie points in these images that overlap, and it's basically able to reconstruct the image in 3D and produce this cool 3D point cloud. So in this session, we're mostly going to be working with the images on the far left, the orthomosaics and the images that look like this. We won't be working too much with the digital surface models or the 3D point clouds, but I just wanted to give you kind of a sense of the power of this tool and how much data we can actually extract from it, because it's pretty interesting. And if we have time at the end of this series of sessions, we may want to start working with some of this data as well. And so that's it for me on my end. We didn't want to take up too much of your time and kind of overwhelm you with information. So we do have 20 minutes left. So I want to give the floor to you and see if anyone has any particular questions at this stage. And I also want to give you the chance to go to our landing page and also start looking through some of those videos if you haven't already. This would be a great opportunity to do that and take advantage of the fact that, you know, we're already kind of in this session. And so you can kind of allot some of that time to watching those videos just to make sure that you're really ready to go for our next session. So if everyone's okay with that, I think I'll stop sharing my screen and then we can all see each other a little bit better. Ali, did you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. Can you please clarify me one thing? The image that you show, what I understand this is the kind of a map image in which the forest was separately painted out. Am I correct or not?
Sure. Do you mean explain the orthomosaic?
I guess, yeah. The first image, the far left image that you were saying that we are going to work on.
Sure, yeah. So how it works, and again, I'll go into a bit more detail in the next session, but just really a quick overview here is that when a drone is flying in a grid pattern, it takes a lot of separate photographs. It's just like a normal camera. And you can set certain parameters so that there's going to be overlap in those photographs. So, you know, as there are sequential photographs, you're going to see kind of the same trees in some of them because there's going to be a certain amount of overlap. And so for an entire green space, you might get, let's say, 500 images, and they're all kind of taken in this grid, and they go kind of like this. And then when you put it onto a software, it recognizes where those images were taken in space because there are GPS coordinates, because the drone, you know, connects to satellites and it's able to triangulate, and it stitches them all together based on those coordinates. And so you end up getting these images that kind of are glued basically together. So you get a whole, what we call orthomosaic. It's a mosaic of the individual photographs, basically.
Okay, thank you.
Is that more clear?
Good. Yeah.
Awesome. Does anyone else have any questions about the general project and, you know, expectations around that? One thing that we may want to clarify before we finish off today and let you go and watch some of those videos is timing. I assume that everyone is generally okay with this time, given the fact that you're here. But Brahim, I know we had some conversations about whether we wanted to do it once a week or once every couple of weeks. And Amara, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but what are folks generally thinking? Does anyone have any preferences?
Excuse me, you mean a weekly session?
Yeah. So whether we're going to do a weekly session or once every couple of weeks, I think that was the option, right, Brahim? Am I wrong on that?
Yeah. So we were thinking about maybe once a week, but in some sessions we think that a weekly session may not be needed, so we'll just skip one kind of thing. In terms of timing, we'll just do a quick poll on Slack and see if this time kind of works for everyone or if there's a preference for another time. But either way, what we'll try to do is we're going to record almost every session, and we'll include this information or include the link to the recording on the landing page. So even if you miss this one or miss the session, you'd have the opportunity to go back and review on your own time kind of thing.
Yeah, so maybe what we can do, Brahim, is we can lay out some of these options on the Slack and just make sure that everyone is comfortable with them, because we want to make sure that, you know, whoever wants to participate can, and that we're not kind of leaving anyone out with this timing, because it is a bit restrictive. We're all in different locations, so we want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to participate. Are there any more questions related to the content of this project, at least thus far, based on the overview that we've given and based on the kind of general information that we've provided?
I have sort of just a small question, which is the link of the data set like provided to a Google Drive that has the 3 parks. That's not the orthomosaic. Those are the pieces that made the orthomosaic.
That's correct. Absolutely.
Okay.
And
in
so,
case I want to start playing with them to know that it might be a bigger thing that they were then don't get too far into those.
Yes, absolutely. And the reason why we did that is that they're basically the same image. It's just the orthomosaics are really large files and they're a bit more difficult to work with. They can range from like 500 megabytes to 1 gig. And so it's a little bit easier to work with the individual images. And it'll also be easier to train our models because we have way more individual images than we do orthomosaics, right?
That was my thinking versus like, is there a reason to make it? Seems like it'd be better to just have more smaller. Yeah, cool.
Exactly, especially for model training. So that's what's awesome about drone data is that we have a huge amount of images at our disposal to train our data, which I think is going to be really awesome. So great question, Ben. Anyone else have any other questions at this stage? I would love to give you some time if you haven't like started looking at some of the videos and also getting acquainted with the landing page and making sure that everyone is very comfortable with the organization of that. I really want to give you time to do that because I think that'll be super important for the next session. So last call on potential questions here. You can also always message us on Slack. We're going to be around, so maybe that should be your first order of business. Join the Slack right now and take 15 or so minutes to peruse some of the videos, especially the content that you may not be as familiar with, so that we're ready to go for our next session, which will probably be next week, but we will put a poll on the Slack to make sure that everyone is happy with our schedule. Brahim, did you have any final words before we let these good people go?
No, pretty much everything you said. If you have any questions, just shoot us a message on Slack and we'll get back to you on that. Yeah, and I put up the link to the landing page, but I think I'm under the impression that Amar will send the link to the landing page. I think he mentioned maybe tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. So yeah, the Slack page is on the, so you can get if you go into, maybe if you can share your screen, Sophie, on the landing page.
You know what? The issue too is that my Slack on my computer is not well configured with this.
But also you're already part of the channel. So if you go, we'll include all of this information in the email. But okay, cool. Yeah. But on the landing page, there's a direct link to the Slack channel. Just click on the channel, click on the link, and you'll just be directed to the channel itself. So hopefully we'll make it as user friendly as possible. So
yeah, and we're also on the main AI kind of Slack channel too. So in case you can't find us on our own urban forestry project one, just tag us on there and we'll troubleshoot for you. Okay, I think that's it on our end. We know this is quite a quick session. We're going to delve into the meat and potatoes of this project next session. So in the meantime, it was wonderful to meet you all. Welcome. I think we're going to have a great time together. Please acquaint yourself with the Slack channel and the landing page and take a look at those initial videos, particularly for the first couple of weeks. And you'll hear from us very soon. So enjoy the rest of your day and see you on Zoom probably next week.